Hi guys, it's SimLicy here, so welcome to another apartment renovation. So today I'm renovating this apartment, which is one of the ZenView apartments. You can see the address on the top left hand side of the screen, so if you'd like to place it in your game, that's where it goes. So for this apartment, I want to do something a little bit different. Several months ago, I used another apartment and I split it into several different apartments. I believe it was the largest one in the Medina Studios apartments. It's over there in the Arts District. Either way, I split that really large apartment into 4 separate, really small apartments. And the last time I renovated this apartment, I mentioned how I wanted to do this apartment again, but use the second floor, because last time I only used the first floor and I basically just cut off access to the second floor. And so I mentioned how I wanted to do it again, but the next time into 2 separate ones. So hopefully that makes sense, because yeah, that's what I'm doing today and I'm so happy with the way it turned out. I wanted to go for a sort of opposite neighbors type of idea, because I've got this suggestion so many different times about doing 2 different neighbors that are, you know, kind of opposites, very different from one another. I've also gotten a lot of suggestions about doing a cop and criminal sort of scenario, and then also living next door to somebody who's kind of creepy. And so I decided to take those ideas and mesh them all into one, and this is what I came up with, and I'm really excited about it. I think both of the apartments are really nice. I like the storyline. I think it's a lot of fun and very different. So the storyline is that the first floor, which is going to be the second apartment that I decorate, is going to be for a lady who lives alone with her cat, and she is a detective, and so she's working on a lot of different cases. She's very busy. She spends a lot of time with her friends, but she doesn't have much of a dating life. I think she's been hurt before in the past, but she's definitely just very career driven and very focused on that, so she doesn't really take a lot of time to date. But her neighbor, the apartment that I'm decorating right now, he's a younger guy. He's very charming, very cute. She sees him in the hallway and she's interested but keeps her distance because, like I said, I think she's been hurt before and she just really doesn't have any time to be dating. But I was thinking that maybe her cat gets out sometimes and he returns the cat to her and she just sees him and admires him from a distance, but she doesn't realize that he is very creepy and he's kind of a criminal. Now, the criminals in The Sims 4 are not as creepy as I would like him to be. I was trying to be a little bit more inspired by the show You. Now, I've only seen like half of the first episode. I didn't really get into it, but I know friends that watch it. I've seen tons of memes and heard lots of things online, so I have a general idea of what that guy in the show is basically about and what he does. And so I wanted the guy that lives here to be essentially that creepy, but charming when you don't know him is my idea. So hopefully that makes sense to you guys. And maybe if you want to go for a creepier storyline that suits some of your guys' gameplay, I'm not sure if there's any mods that go along with that idea, because I think criminals in The Sims 4, I actually don't really know what they do. I used some of the objects in this apartment to, I don't know, kind of show that he's a criminal in The Sims 4 by using some of those career objects that you can unlock. So you'll see that when I create his kind of hidden office space. But the decorating style that I wanted to do in this apartment took me a little while to figure out, because I wasn't really sure how to show a criminal's interior decorating style, because it's kind of a weird idea. But what I decided to go for was something that was very clean, minimal, not a lot of color. Now, of course, people can like this decorating style without being a creepy person themselves, but I thought that the personality I saw for this character was that they're they keep up appearances really well. So if somebody was to come over to their apartment, it would look really clean and tidy. But I also see him as somebody who likes everything to be just so, like, he's a bit anal retentive and maybe a bit particular, but he likes everything to be very clean and put together. He's not a very cluttery person. So I tried to show that in the decorating style, and I really do like it. I think it ends up being a really nice looking apartment. Here you can see I'm just sorting out where the bedroom is going to go, because at first I had the bedroom a lot larger and I was going to make like his room a bit creepier, but I decided that I wanted like a hidden room. So I used those secret doors that lead into a secret room essentially, and I put some of the career objects in there that I mentioned that you can unlock by actually being a criminal in The Sims 4. You guys should let me know if there's any like mods that you can use to actually make creepier gameplay. I don't really know if that's something I would ever be interested in doing, but I'm curious to know if there are mods, because I don't think criminals in The Sims 4 are actually that creepy. I mean, it's not a creepy game, so but yeah, anyways, here I am creating a little office space in the living room. I had this very long living area, so I thought this was a great way to use up some of the space. And then there I'm just placing a bicycle underneath the staircase. I thought that was like a perfect place to put a bike. And yeah, I just really liked the way the floor plan in general turned out. I thought that was a great place to put the staircase. It worked really nicely for this second floor layout and for the first floor. The first floor is very similar in layout to how I did it in the last time when I cut off the access to the second floor. So you'll see that here in just a little while. I wanted to get the second floor basically sorted out first because I knew that I'd never done this before in this apartment. So I wanted to make sure I could get the layout put together, and it came together so easily. But here I'm back into the bedroom. I'm just placing a closet instead of doing a dresser. I thought that was kind of nice, and it was a bit more organized, and everything is, you know, tucked away. There's no dresser that you can add a lot of clutter onto, so I felt like that kind of suited the overall theme I wanted to go for. And I tried to make the doors look more like a bookcase, so that's why I used those pillars in between them. Pillars, is that the right word for it? I don't know. But either way, I think you guys probably get what I mean. And then over here is going to be the bathroom. Unfortunately, for both of these apartments, I didn't really have a great place to put a bathroom close to the entryway, so they only have en-suites to both of the bedrooms, so it's a bit unfortunate. That's not exactly how I like to do floor plans, but I think for single Sims living by themselves, it's not too big of a deal. But maybe I will come back to this idea again and figure out better places for the bathrooms. But for now, this is what I came up with. And yeah, again, his bathroom is very clean, simple, gray, white, and not a lot of clutter or detail. I do actually end up sizing up some cologne bottles and putting them in the bottom of the shower. I do need to play test this to see if it works. I don't think it'll block the shower. Maybe I'll have to move it slightly. I was trying to use those bottles, but I felt like they were way too colorful, so I used these ones and sized them up. Maybe they look a little bit too big, but I felt like they were too small if I didn't size them up. So that's why I did that. But over here, I'm moving on to his criminal room, or whatever you can call it. I'm not exactly sure, but I put a desk in here. It doesn't have a computer or anything, but maybe you could put a laptop in here and pretend that's where he keeps all of his like secret files for all of his planning. Oh, I also end up adding a lot of cameras in this apartment. So you may have noticed that I put 1 or 2 in his actual computer space in his living room, but I end up putting some like tripods and I think a couple more cameras in here because I was thinking that maybe he takes pictures of people, which is really creepy, but maybe he spies on his neighbors, or if he's just around town, maybe he pretends to take pictures of wildlife, but maybe he's actually stalking some people and taking pictures of them. I mean, totally up to you guys, but I thought that was kind of a fun way to maybe add a little bit of creepiness into this apartment, because I really struggled with that. Like, how do you add creepy decorations? I mean, I could have gone with like skulls and skeletons and maybe made the apartment look dirty and trash, but I felt like this was kind of a fun, different way to approach this idea. But I put this bulletin board here behind the desk to maybe show that he has some notes or things that he's trying to track. And this also has a picture that looks like maybe like a wanted sign, or I don't know, it has some like pictures that maybe could be seen as mugshots, and maybe it's like he's in one of the pictures and he just kind of admires that people are actually out there looking for him and they can't find him. Like he kind of admires his own work in some way. So that was what I was thinking. But that map with the walkie-talkie and it's kind of like a treasure map on the table is unlocked through the criminal career. That ATM is also unlocked. I put some heavier curtains so it was kind of blocked a little bit more because I was thinking that maybe if somebody was in a tall building across the street would probably be able to see the ATM through his window. And so I put the heavier curtains so we could pretend that he closes it so it's actually blocked off. But I really don't like actually blocking off the windows. So that's why I decided not to. And yeah, I'm actually really happy with the way that room turned out. But as you can see, we're moving on to the first floor. And this is going to be for the cop. So she lives alone here with her cat. Like I said, it's a very similar layout to the last time I renovated this apartment. I think it's a little bit different in some of the placement of furniture, and maybe one of the rooms are slightly smaller or bigger than the other one. I'm not exactly sure, but I really liked the layout the last time I did it, so I wanted to do it again. And I wanted to continue with the same colors as I did in his apartment. I do switch up the color of the counters because I felt like the dark countertop with the darker bottom didn't really suit the color scheme I wanted to go for her. I wanted it to be a bit brighter and a bit cheerier looking, and so I add like more golds and stuff, but I wanted them to have similar like things, like similar flooring and counters and stuff, because I wanted them to look like they were a part of the same building, because I feel like that makes a little bit more sense. So that's what I was thinking with that. But here I am switching up the counters. I thought about switching it to the same ones that matched the overhead cabinets that came with Jungle Adventure, but I just changed the color of them, and I think that looks really nice. And I thought these bar height counters, or bar height bar stools, excuse me, these ones that came with Get Famous, I thought worked really nicely. I thought the colors of them paired really well with the curtains I used from Seasons. They don't match necessarily, but for whatever reason, I thought they complemented each other really nicely. And other than that, I do try to add a lot more clutter than his apartment, because I wanted hers to feel a bit more messy and chaotic. Like, he plans everything out. That's why everything it's in his place. He knows exactly how he wants things, and her life is a bit more chaotic. She has like a hectic work schedule, and she stays up late. I feel like she goes out and has drinks with her friends, and she's just very busy and doesn't really take time for herself necessarily. Even though she goes out with her friends, like, she doesn't like take time to sit and read a book or take on a new hobby or date or anything. She's just very busy. And I felt like adding the clutter kind of showed that in some way. I don't know if that makes sense to you guys, but I thought it was kind of a fun way to tie in the storyline a little bit more. I definitely had a lot of fun with this storyline, so I wanted to say thank you to everybody that's kind of contributed to this story. I mean, I've gotten a lot of comments like surrounding these ideas that I meshed together, so I can't necessarily like list off the people, but yeah, I always appreciate your guys' like input and ideas. I take a lot of inspiration in my builds from the comments that I get, so I really appreciate it. But over here you can see I am decorating the living room. It took me a little while to get it sorted out. I really did not know how I wanted to do this wall with the TV. I think the last time I decorated this apartment, I struggled with this same area. I thought about placing a fireplace. I liked this one, but I wasn't really sure if it suited the style that I wanted to go for. And I also wanted to use a larger TV and like some bookcases, because this wall just felt so like long and empty. So I ended up making my own sort of entertainment center with the TV in between those bookcases and then that side table. I thought that looked really good, and I ended up cluttering up the bookcases with some extra books and like a plant or two and some pictures. I forget exactly what all I add up there. And then I also add like magazines. She has like a video game console in here, like a bunch of extra things that he didn't have in his apartment. And I think it actually turned out really nicely. I love the overall like color scheme with the accents of gold in this apartment. I thought was a lot of fun. So definitely enjoyed that. But here you can see I'm cluttering up those bookcases. And as I was decorating this area, I was trying to think how I could incorporate some of the cop related items in the build to make it kind of feel more like a cop or a detective lives here. And so you may have noticed already that I place a few things in the bedroom. I decided not to make like a separate office area. I just put the laptop at the kitchen table. I may have been able to figure out a way to put an office space in the bedroom, but it was kind of a weird shape. So I thought just adding a few items in the room made it feel like a cop actually lives here. But here you can see I'm decorating the bathroom. Again, it's the only bathroom in this apartment, so they both only have en-suites. Like I said, it's not the way I would like to do it, but it still works, and I think it's okay. Maybe I'll do it again, like I mentioned, and figure out a better way to place bathrooms, but it works for now. But anyways, here you can see I'm using this bed that came from Seasons. It matches the curtains really nicely because it has the gold accents and they're from the same pack. I also use this dresser from Seasons as well, and I felt like the furniture just tied in really nicely. And I end up using these side tables again from Tiny Living. I am obsessed with them. I think they're so cute, and I love that they're a bit smaller, so they work really good in my opinion as nightstands because you can fit them in smaller areas. And I do end up actually covering up the books on one of them because I've mentioned before, and I've actually turned them around so you couldn't see the books, so they don't have the exact same decorations. But I got a tip recently to actually just cover them up, and I can't believe I didn't think of that before. So thank you to whoever that was that gave me that idea. I didn't write it down, so I can't say thank you properly, but I really appreciate it. I think that's such a great idea. Over here, I do clutter up the dresser, and I also have this, it's kind of like a magazine cutout that's framed. I was thinking that she was maybe featured in an article or something, or they wrote a piece about her in the newspaper, or maybe it was a crime that she solved and they featured it. I don't know. It could go either way. It's totally up to you guys how you want to interpret that, but that's the idea that I was thinking. But her bedroom is basically done. I'm just covering up those books on this side. She does have some extra dressers leading into her room. Maybe they're like filing cabinets, but I really liked them because they took up some space and they didn't like overcrowd the entryway. And then here I'm placing a litter box because then to this point I had forgotten to place basically any other cat items besides a food bowl. So I placed this out here, and then I also ended up placing a scratching post in the living room. And then out here there's a barbecue area. I think I placed a few planter pots so you can do a bit of gardening. There's also a dining table and yeah, just some nice things, I think, to clutter up the balcony. But this is basically it for this entire apartment. We are coming up on the screenshots here pretty soon, so I hope you guys have enjoyed this one, and I hope you've enjoyed the story. And yeah, as always, thank you so much for watching, and please leave any comments or suggestions that you have, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye!